We've been told that the first people who occupied America, the Native Americans, came here across the Bering Strait. But what if someone told you that when the Native Americans came across the Bering Strait, there were people already living here? These people had an established civilization that not only rivaled that of Egypt in its height, but is also much older. In fact, at the 1996 14th session of the United Nations Summer Conference, these people were recorded as the oldest indigenous people on Earth. In the next few minutes, we'll tell you about a very old and ancient people, the first Americans, the Washitaw de Mounja. Although it is known by archaeologists, historians, and anthropologists that an old and ancient people occupied this land before the American Indian, up until recently, not much effort has been made to educate the general public of this fact.
Many people ask, what are the Washitaw Moors? What's a Washitaw? What's a Moor? And understand, I am a Washitaw Moor. The Washitaw Moors have not gone anywhere. We've not disappeared. We're still here. It's part of American history that most people want to talk about, but beyond just American history, the Washitaw, we have our own history. The history of the Moors is there. It's been twisted and distorted, and it's just murky legends and the stories that kind of hide the evidence of the Washitaw and the Moors. The evidence of the Washitaw is very prevalent. It's just not being promoted and being taught in the education system. No one wants to talk about a race of people who were here, civilized, organized, and giant black people.
The Washitaw are the dark-skinned original inhabitants of North and South America. They have been referred to as the pre-Columbian civilizations, the prehistoric mound builders, the diggers, and the ancient ones. Certified legal documents of colonial and Spanish and French explorers identified the Washitaw as the ancient occupants of America. The Washitaw Nation are akin to the Moors of Northwest Africa and are responsible for building the highly advanced geometric earthworks and sacred burial mounds found all over this continent.
People always ask, who are the mound builders? When did they exist? The mound builders are the indigenous original inhabitants of North and South America. The mound builders did not exist in a vacuum at one time period. We have always been here, and we shall always be here.
Modern science teaches that all the continents on the earth were once connected in one piece of land. They call it Pangea. Washitaw history actually says the same thing as do the scriptures. The Washitaw, the indigenous people of this land that we now call America, were on this land when it was connected in one piece. When this land was connected to what is now called Africa, the Washitaw were on this land that we call America. So the Washitaw do not come from anywhere. We did not come to America from someplace else. We were already here. We have always been here. Back to the time when scientists called the land Pangea, when it was one piece. So we have always been on this land. Poverty Point, located in Pioneer, Louisiana, near Monroe, is recognized as the second largest earthen pyramid in North America. This ancient site, called the Great Bird Mound by the natives, was a cultural center for the advanced temple, mound, pyramid civilization. Poverty Point, as it is currently called, is located in northeastern Louisiana, in Washitaw Parish, in the city of what is now called Monroe, or near Monroe. The Washitaw referred to it as the Bird Mound because there is a very large earthen mound in the shape of a bird with outstretched wings. In some places it measures 70 feet high. The wingspan of the bird is 640 feet, and it actually measures 710 feet from the head to the tail. At the base of the bird, at the foot, there are 6 concentric ridges.
composed of earth, and the Washitaw actually had their homes located on these ridges that at one time measured as high as 5 feet.
In a Western education world, Poverty Point has been identified as the oldest community in North America, in that Poverty Point was a complete city in construction. Its dynamics, its the civil engineering that went to design the city has been copied for thousands of years, and the community is in the shape of a concentric rings, several concentric rings, and these rings are duplicated over and over again in the U.S. Congress, where the seats are laid out, in the Roman Senate. If you go to most entertainment venues, a theater, there you'll find that modern day theaters that are acoustically designed are in the same formation as Poverty Point. And Poverty Point being a place that is known to be as old as, or as young as, 12 centuries before the birth of Christ. When you speak of Poverty Point, you speak of a time that wasn't supposed to exist. Poverty Point, at its height, not its beginning, but at its height, was at least 1,000 years before any agriculture was supposed to have occurred in North America. So Poverty Point has served as an anomaly for years when scientists came in and archaeologists came in and argued that there's no way this could have existed. As archaeologists go and do research, they don't even have a name for the time period that they find artifacts at Poverty Point. And what's more, at Poverty Point, not only did they find artifacts there that would date back 1,000 years, but they were enduring years, and that these people showed a legacy of continuous occupation at Poverty Point. In that I mean that they would do research and they would dig down 1 foot, and they might find something that was 4,000 years old. A few more inches, find something 5,000 years old. Further down, 6,000 years old. So here you have evidence of a legacy of continuous occupation.
A commonly known place right here in Baton Rouge, the Indian Mounds on LSU campus, is actually a Washitaw site that predates Poverty Point.
We know that history has taught us in Western culture that Indians were a group of hunter-gatherers who supposedly came across the Bering Straits about 12,000 years ago and inhabited North America. And I'm here today to tell you that the mounds are not the product of an Indian culture. They're the product of the indigenous people, the original mound building, pyramid building, woolly head, black people. Here today at LSU, we'd explore some of the common history and mythology about the origin of original civilizations in North America. Here the sign reads, hunter-gatherers built these 2 mounds 5,000 years ago. It goes on to read, they are older than the great Egyptian pyramids and predate Poverty Point, long believed to have been the oldest earthen mounds in North America. So here we have evidence once again of slight contradiction, but it's good because it says they are pyramids and predate the Egyptian pyramids in Egypt.
Historically, the Damandia, which are the imperial lands of the Washitaw, stretch from Canada in the north to the Gulf of Mexico in the south, and from the Atlantic Ocean in the east to the Rocky Mountains and Pecos River in the west. The seat of power of the Washitaw Nation, called the Washitaw proper, including the Imperial Palace, was located in the Washitaw Parish of Louisiana, in the present-day city of Monroe. The parish is named for the Washitaw people, but currently carries the French spelling. This land currently remains a free and sovereign land, protected by the national and international law, as provided for in the Maison Rouge and de Bastrop land grants. These land grants were constructed to protect French and Spanish land interests in the New World. The land was acquired by a French nobleman of Spanish blood, the Marquis Joseph de Maison Rouge, by his marriage to the imperial washerwoman, Her Highness St. Clair Cyr L.A. Maria. Their child, Henry Turner, willed the land grants to his present-day descendant, Her Highness Verdice Thierry Washitaw Turner Gaston L. Bay, the current reigning empress of the Washitaw de Damandia. The Washitaw Turner family waged a very long legal battle in the American courts to secure the Washitaw land protected by the grants.
When Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation, it took some time for everyone to find out about it. So it is said that June 19th is the date when it said, history says some people in Louisiana, some in Texas, found out that the Emancipation Proclamation had been issued on the 19th of June and that the slaves were now free. So that date is celebrated amongst black people, June 19th, as the day that they found out that they were free. Not coincidentally, almost 20 years earlier in 1848, the Supreme Court ruled in favor of the Washitaw Turner women, the imperial family of the Washitaw, the indigenous people of this land, that the land grants protecting the land that is currently in Louisiana in Washitaw Parish was the grants were actually valid, and the Supreme Court ruled that the land rightfully belongs to the Washitaw. So every year, the Washitaw also celebrate June 19th, not necessarily as a freedom from slavery, but a celebration of the return of some of our land.
Today, the Washitaw have always celebrated Juneteenth. It's been a continuous legacy, even in years of turmoil, when the Washitaw were being hunted and murdered. The Washitaw always maintained the legacy of celebrating that June 19th as a liberating time. It's called the Washitaw Tunica consanguinity, the blood gathering of all the Washitaws, and we would always find a way to gather. And when the Empress actually won her lawsuit and began the process of rebuilding the nation, she made sure that every year, June 19th, that weekend, we would gather somewhere, and on the morning of the 19th, we would always go to Poverty Point, what they call Poverty Point, the Great Bird Mound, before dawn, to help the sun rise, and we celebrate the rising of the sun. It's really the summer equinox time. But we always take that time to go to Poverty Point and celebrate as a family, the Washitaw Nation.
Today, more effort is being made to bring knowledge of the Washitaw to the forefront, including educating those who are Washitaw and are unaware of it.
As far as concerning the Washitaw today, even though some people haven't heard of the Washitaw, that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It is here. I myself have recently just come to know about the Washitaw. I began to trace and to do a search for my people, my lineage, and my heritage, and I found out, yes, I am, because all of the so-called black people originated from right here. The Washitaw is very much alive. I live it in my day-to-day life. I display it, I show it wherever I may be, and the people in this town who don't know about it, they come to know about it, because I don't mind taking time to share any information that I may know of with them. We have to re-educate our people, re-educate, because they've been educated something that is not true, and we have to re-educate them and change their literature so they'll know who they are, and they'll be where they need to be.
Yeah, the upcoming conference this year, in the Juneteenth, around the Juneteenth time, we'll be celebrating once again a Washitaw gathering, and we hope to have many people come out, and they can come out and ask questions, get a chance to go possibly visit a few mound sites, Poverty Point or the Bird Mound preferably. But at that time, we'll have a time for Washitaw and all the other different indigenous people to come together, and we can sit down and we can break bread and make plans as we ourselves find ways we can connect, unite, and cooperate with each other to solve common problems, to form a network of people with some commonality. And from that point, we can just recover ourselves. Because right now, the Washitaw as a people are fragmented, divided, and just separated. But we're still here, we're still strong. And we know that now, based on the cosmos and just the time of the universe, it's our time now to come together and return to our place and help to heal the whole planet. Not just the fate of indigenous people is at stake, but the fate of the whole planet is at stake, and we need to return to our place as stewards over the land and over the universe and over the earth.
One of the main points that I would like to emphasize about the Washitaw is that we are still here. Some of the larger community here in America would like to have people believe that the indigenous people of this land no longer exist, or that they are all Indians tucked away on reservations somewhere, when actually we are still very much here. We have always been here. Many of us, as we learn our identity, who we are fully embracing that knowledge and also acting upon that knowledge, acting to actually come together again as a cohesive group of people, as a nation, and regain ownership of our land. So the Washitaw are not some historical people that live back in time somewhere that no longer exists, that we can speak of in terms of a past tense. We are here. We have always been here. We are the people of this land. We came with the land. We are the Washitaw, the original indigenous black people of America.
Here you have the Olmecs, the Aztecs, the Mayans. These are people who lived in Central America. We're right here. This is Louisiana right here. These are the Olmecs. They are thought to be the oldest people on the planet. Aztecs, Iroquois are people who lived in the Caribbean, okay? Carib, the original people who supposedly Christopher Columbus discovered when he got here, are supposed to be the Caribs, the Maroons in Jamaica, okay? Next. And of course you have the Moors. The Moors are the people who civilized Europe. For 700 years, the Moors took knowledge into Europe, into Spain, into the Iberian Peninsula, built the first universities here, the first cities, waterworks, waterways, and the Moors are some of the people who traveled the planet spreading knowledge and wisdom. When the invaders came into Egypt, the Moors are the ones who took the knowledge out and saved it, and salvaged the knowledge. They were the teachers. They still travel. I am a Moor. Are there any Moors in the house today? You're all a Moor. We're all the Moors. Okay? Next. Here you have the Mayans, the Aztecs, the Toltecs, more Mayans, the Olmecs. Here is where we are taught the first people in North America existed. Up here you have the Washitaw proper. Do you think it's possible that the people here happen to meet the people up here? Yeah. It's possible, huh? Okay, next. Here you have, what's this right here? Where are we at right here? Washitaw. That's the Washoe people, right? What's right there behind there? What's right here? We got Lake Pontchartrain, huh? We got New Orleans. Now who they say was here? The Washoe people? The Chawasha? You got the Wichita up here, okay? You got it's not, see this Coushatta? That is called Washitaw. The Washitaw people, okay? Tunica, Natchez, Biloxi, all these are indigenous people, indigenous black people. All this land here is Washitaw. If you ever got a map of the United States, you have the Washitaw River flowing here, up through the Washitaw Forest, over to the Washitaw Mountains. You also have the Washitaw River, the Red River, which runs this way and ends up the Washitaw River right here, okay? The Washitaw River. When they had the Great Trail of Tears, and the military came in and made all of the Indians get off their land over, next, get off their land over in Alabama, Mississippi, Arkansas. They took them all into Oklahoma, into the Washitaw. This is a map I got. It says Louisiana, and West Florida, okay? It came when the British armies were attacking New Orleans after the War of 1812, the War of 1812. Here you have Lake Pontchartrain, correct? Go next, go next. We'll try to get a little closer. Here you have Lake Pontchartrain. You have the city of New Orleans right here, okay? Here's Gentilly. Here's Metairie. And here's the Lake of the Washers, okay? Here's the Washer River. If you go look at the map today, these names have been changed and erased. The Washer's not there. This is called Lake Chenier, I think. Chenier. So here you have an ancient map. It's not that old, about the time of the War of 1812, showing Lake Washer. And here you have spelled the French way, Washer. Okay, next. Aha. Now, you say you never heard of this kind of stuff. The Washitaw people are the original people who built pyramids in North America. You do know we have pyramids in North America. We have pyramids over in Egypt. We also have pyramids here in North America, okay? Here you have an article I got from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. This article came out in December 1995, December 23rd, 2 days before Christmas. So you can't say the information is not made available. It's just not propagated and given to us. So, but I am a researcher. I love to read. And tonight I'm going to share with you a few facts I found in my research. All I can do tonight is give you a small table of content, point you along the way, and show you a few things that we have not been told. Okay? Atlanta Journal-Constitution, December 23rd, 1995. Next. It says southeastern mounds, pyramids, okay? Next. Older than the pyramids. It's in the paper now. See, Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Southeastern mounds older than the pyramids, okay? Next. What are they talking about? Huh? Next. Here you have the bottom of that article, a chronology of civilization. They start off here with 1400, about the time of Christopher Columbus. They go over here to agriculture, the first agriculture ever in America, where they start digging and planting. Here you have Rome, 753 BC. Here you have the pyramid, the work start on the Great Pyramid in Giza. That's 2575 BC. In the very end, you have evidence of permanent mound building civilizations in Louisiana, 3800 BC. Okay? When they say they found some arrowheads and a few bones and sticks, they found evidence of a permanent civilization in Louisiana. Okay? Not savages. Next. At the heart of it is a place that the ancient people call the Great Bird Mound. Louisiana calls this Poverty Point. They call it Poverty Point because when they got there, they weren't able to grow anything at all. The Europeans who came to this area here, they were starved, they got famine, all kind of things happened. But here, the Great Bird Mound you will find in history was a high place of culture and esteem. This is the place where the ancient civilizations of North America came. This is where we had our pilgrimage. You will find here at Poverty Point in the research artifacts. They can find copper from Michigan. They can find shells from North Carolina. They find minerals from Colorado. They find stuff from Minnesota. All up and down the Mississippi River. And the indigenous name for Mississippi River is the Mississippi River, which stands for the father of all rivers. All along the Mississippi River, you will find people who came down here. And the significant thing about Poverty Point is that Poverty Point existed before agriculture existed. You have a city here. Look at that, look at that city right there. This is the same way the United States Congress set up, correct? Yeah. Same way the Roman Senate is set up, correct? This is where we started democracy. We started government, civilization in North America. Next. Here's something they said. Let me break down the article for you right here. New evidence of ancient mound cultures in Southeast dating to a time when the region was supposedly populated by simple nomadic hunters is spurring a radical revision of traditional theories. Okay? A radical revision of traditional theories, okay? About people who inhabited North America 6,000 years ago. There were permanent settlements in the Southeast United States before pyramids were built in Egypt. Okay, right here it says, an accumulation of carefully dated soil samples and long neglected artifacts from man-made mounds in Louisiana Mississippi, and Florida show that there were permanent settlements in the southeast before pyramids were built in Egypt, thousands of years earlier than archaeologists once thought possible. Okay, they didn't think it was possible for there to be people here. Next. The Washitaw Moors predate the Olmecs, the Incas, the Aztecs, Toltecs, Mayan civilization in America, but we're all related. It's all the same people. Next. Here you have, he's saying, let me get to where it says poverty point. Rousseau says some researchers hesitate to publish data suggesting the mounds they studied were older than agriculture. Faced with solid evidence that one mound complex of Poverty Point, Louisiana, complete with a 70-foot high bird-shaped mound and elaborate rows of concentric ridges dated to 1700 BC. That's about 3,000 years ago. Okay? It goes on to talk about carbon dating, and it talks about the existence of people clearly capable of building, oh, here he is. Now the firm radiocarbon dates from a dozen ancient mound sites in 3 states, archaeologists say the Poverty Point complex, rather than being an anomaly, actually represents the climax of 2,000-year spat of mound building, and that predates the Mayan civilization in Central America. So now you have people in Louisiana 2,000 years older than the oldest people recorded in time. Okay. And here at the end he says, you can't find something unless you look for it, and until the last few years, we didn't know what to look for. He says some of these sites have been destroyed by developers over the years because no one recognized them for what they really were. And what were they? Archaeologists began to recognize the mounds for what they really are, the outline of the first permanent communities in North America. Okay? Next. Now I'm just a researcher. I'm just looking for articles. I'm nobody special. Here you have the Olmecs, okay? Believed to be the oldest people in America's Mesoamerican pyramid builders. So you have the Olmecs down in the Yucatan Peninsula. This is in the Gulf of Mexico, right across from New Orleans. If you get in the boat in New Orleans, you go straight down, you're going to end up right here, okay? And here you have Veracruz, La Venta. Here at La Venta, you have a complex dissimilar to the complex in Louisiana at Poverty Point. Exact same layout. Concentric rings, mounds. Here they have stone mounds. The mounds in the United States, North America, were earthen mounds. Earthen mounds. Next. The first Olmec heads were reportedly discovered in 1858. That's 2 years before the Civil War, and a few years after someone named Chief Justice Roger B. Taney of the Supreme Court said that black people had no rights that white people were bound to respect. Yet we have found here in Mexico evidence of ancient black civilizations, okay? They were massive in size and often weighed several tons. If I stood next to this, I'd be about this tall. It's huge, massive, okay? Olmecs are of the priest class. They still hold sacred values to the indigenous peoples of America as well as Africa. So here you have African faces in Mexico, the original people. Next. I'm not going to belabor the issue. I'm going to point you once again to some very good books. You have Paul Barton's book, History of the African Olmecs. You have another book by Mr. Frank Joseph, The Lost Treasure of King Juba, Evidence of Africans in America before Columbus. There are plenty of authors out there who write on the topic. Mr. Joseph also has a magazine called Ancient America. You might want to look that up and find Ancient America. It has several articles about our people. Next. And probably the most noteworthy author of all is the Honorable Ivan Van Sertima. This book, African Presidents in Early America, is a classic. Everyone should get this book and read it. And even in this book, Van Sertima, who has done literary study of what has been published in the academic world, still finds that the first people, the Olmecs, date back to 1500 BC, about 3,000 years ago. And at the same time, 3,000 years ago, it's about the same time that they date the first civilizations in Europe, the Greeks. The Greeks were the first civilizations in Europe, okay? And you can trace the Greeks back. The Greeks can be traced back to their first writer ever, Homer. Who's read the Iliad and the Odyssey in here? If you go to college or high school, they're going to require you to read this book called the Iliad and the Odyssey. It is the first writing ever published in Europe, okay? About 832 BC. Before 1000 BC, there's no record of anybody in Europe doing anything. 1000 BC. Louisiana, we have pyramids here, 3800 BC. Okay, next. Here's an article. Brother Umar must be tripping. He don't know what he's talking about, right? Article from MSNBC. Now they're right all the time, right? That is the news. This is the authority, right? Olmecs to the north of Mexico. What? To the north of Mexico? What's it saying here? Mexican monolith could change history. 3,000-year-old carving contains new symbols of Mesoamerica. And I just kind of highlighted some things in the article. It says the Olmec civilization, one of the oldest in the Americas, was more widespread than thought, or that another culture thrived alongside it 3,000 years ago. Now, what is this other culture? They name the Olmecs, they don't name the other culture. Okay. It goes on to say, it is a very relevant indicator that Olmec's penetration far to the north, or of the presence of a new group coexisting with the Olmecs, okay? Far to the north of Mexico is where? Texas, Louisiana, correct? We got a new group, still unnamed group of people, far to the north of the Olmecs, okay? Olmecs migrated northward and mingled with other people there, okay? Can we name other people? All right? The Olmecs are considered the mother culture of pre-Hispanic Mexico. I was in Los Angeles talking to some of my Mexican friends. They were not trying to hear it. They were not trying to hear it, okay? It says, an advanced civilization with hydraulic systems, canals, and other technologies make it the oldest and most advanced center of its time, found in what later became Washitaw Indian region, which is just south of Texas. Okay, next. Now here, right here is Louisiana. Right here are the Olmecs. Right here is where they found this new head. Okay, just south of Texas, just south of Mexico City. Next. Another article. Oh, go back one. Okay, come on. From the USA Today. Mexican archaeologists unearthed monolith showing early calendar. Decapitated women. Okay. Mexico researchers say Thursday they were unearthed what may be one of the earliest calendars in Mesoamerica, a monolithic sculpture that suggests that women held important status roles in pre-Hispanic culture. That is significant in that the Washitaw is a matriarchal society. In the Washitaw, the women held high place of esteem. It's like in our own families. Grandma is high ranking. Grandpa gives grandma much respect, and grandma ultimately has a lot of power. The ancient Washitaw and the ancient civilizations all over the world had women in high places of respect and honor. The women made the rules, the women maintained the family, the men maintained society. Men interacted outside the household. Women interacted within the household. If someone strange came, the man wouldn't deal with the stranger from outside, external. How about foreign affairs? The men dealt with the foreign affairs, the women dealt with domestic affairs, okay? Women ran their household, okay? Still today, men with their women run the household, correct? Keep the clean. They reduced it down to keep no dishes washed and the clothes thing. But in ancient times, in the Washitaw, the women held the power of the land. They held positions of power. Here it says, what they found was a giant calendar. It was carved between sometime around 700 BC. Possibly predating early Mayan calendars by hundreds of years, okay? So now they found something at this ancient site of the Washitaw, of ancient people, that predates the Mayan calendars. Now, as we know, Mayan calendars are thought to be some of the oldest calendars in the planet, okay? The Mayan calendar right now is really in the news because people are looking at the fact that the Mayan calendar predict this awesome occurrence in the year 2012, okay? All around the planet, people are preparing for this great event to occur in the year 2012. Okay, they know not what it's going to be. They don't care. I personally got first-hand knowledge from Her Highness the Empress of the Washitaw, and I will share that with you momentarily. But here you have evidence once again from USA Today. It says this would be the first depiction of a calendar or calendar elements in such an early time period. weighed about 20 tons, was found March 2005 by construction workers at Tantuk ruins in San Luis Potosi State near Mexico's northern Gulf Coast. The northern Gulf Coast of Mexico, very close to Louisiana. Next. It says, the theory has not yet been proven or published in scientific journals, though Mayan calendar calculations reach far back in time. The physical calendars themselves are not nearly as old. This is significant. It's saying that the calculations of the calendars are older than the physical calendars themselves. We know that amongst our people in Africa, the oldest calendars in the world is the stellar calendar. We today use the Gregorian calendar. What that is, that's 12 months, some 30 days, and Black History Month is what? 28 days, okay? Some months are 30 days, some years it changes. That calendar came about from the Romans. Caesar went in and Julius Caesar took a month, called it July, and messed all the numbers up, huh? Augustus came behind him, took a month, messed all the numbers up. So now you go through the calendar, you look at October. We know Octo means 8. But that's the 10th month, huh? Because 2 Caesars added their own months in there. November, that's 9. December, that's 10. Okay? So our calendar we're using today is whack. Okay? It's whack. But it's okay. Understand the oldest calendar in the world, one of the first calendars we used was called the solar calendar. Egyptian calendar dating back almost 4,000 years old, okay? The solar calendar was a calendar that had 365 days and a quarter days, 365 and a quarter days, just like our calendar does today, but it only had 13 months in it. It had 12 months of 30 days and 1 month of 5 days. That 5 days has been kind of mimicked today in the United States by African American people by celebrating Kwanzaa. The last week of the year, we celebrate Kwanzaa, celebrate our family values and principles, okay? So you have a calendar here. It says the lunar calendar has frequently been associated with female figures. Once again, highlighting the fact that in the ancient civilizations, it was a matriarchal society where women held high positions and high places, okay? And it suggests that women played very important roles, not only as priestess, but politically as well, which shows, once again, a tie to the Washitaw people. We are ruled by an empress. We have women playing very important roles, not as priestesses, but politically as well. Next. Here's an article from a magazine called Ancient America. New evidence of ancient Afro-Americans. Ooh. Okay. I actually met the gentleman who found these artifacts. In this cave in Illinois, things were found. The artifacts, judging from their internal evidence, range in age from roughly 2,200 to 1,800 years, depict men and women from various parts of the ancient world. Here's the part we need to get to right here. Among the most beautifully and skillfully executed of all the Burroughs Cave stones are many depicting distinctly West African persons, identifiable even down to the sacrification lines accurately shown in their faces. None of them appear to have been slaves. On the contrary, some wear fine garments and jewelry befitting individuals of rank and influence. So you have in Illinois, objects represent the first physical proof of overseas visitors to the Americas in prehistoric times. Next. Here are some of the stones they found. Carvings of Africans, okay? Africans in a cave in Illinois, dating back 2,000 years. Next. Here's an article I found. Oh my God, I love this one. Nevada mummy. Let's stop right there. They have mummies in Nevada? Mummies in Nevada? Where are the mummies, everybody? Egypt. Egypt, right? Where's Egypt at? Africa, you think so? We're going to discover some more now. Okay, this says, anthropologists say man found in a cave in 1940 is more than 9,400 years old. Okay, check it out. The remains are kept a secret in a secret location in Carson City Museum. Officials allow reporters to view the mummy on the conditions the site would not be disclosed, okay? Over here, I'm sorry to tell you right here, it's a very important section that got washed out. People just kept doodling on this section. It says, in addition to the flesh, The hair was black at the time of discovery. What they found with this mummy, you can go look this up. It's in the Las Vegas Sun. Several articles about this mummy, this man being found. Just recently, there was an argument about this mummy they found because the local Native American tribe near this location tried to claim the body. But the scientist was very clear in telling them this could not have been of your people. This skull, because this body was kept intact. They found skin, 9,000 years old, and hair, 9,000 years old. It goes on to say at the end, it said the extreme dry environment of the small cave, 15 by 25 feet, provided natural preservation of the soft tissues, and these remains were found buried under the remains of another man which had been ravaged by coyotes. Dancy says scientists believe man was in this area 11 to 12,000 years ago. I can tell you right now, I found another article about a man 9,200 years old in California near a place called Pyramid Lake. Pyramid Lake. Next. Now, more evidence. Arizona Gazette, 1909. Exploration of the Grand Canyon. Okay. It goes on to talk about immense mysteries of immense rich cavern being brought to light. Let me read this a little bit to you what it says in here, what they found here. It says, the latest news of the progress of the explorations of what is now regarded by scientists as not only the oldest archaeological discovery in the United States, but one of the most valuable in the world, which was mentioned some time ago in the Gazette, was brought to the city yesterday by G.E. Kincaid, the explorer who found the great underground citadel of the Grand Canyon during the trip from Green River, Wyoming, down the Colorado River in a wooden boat to Yuma several months ago. According to the story related to yesterday to the Gazette by Mr. Kincaid, the archaeologists of the Smithsonian Institute, which is financing the explorations, have made discoveries which almost conclusively prove that the race which inhabited the mysterious caverns hewn in solid rock by human hands was of Oriental origin, possibly from Egypt, tracing back to Ramses. Understand, at the turn of the century, when you heard the word Oriental, it was synonymous with the word Egyptian. They always taught that Egypt was in the Middle East. The Middle East, Asia, trying to detach Egypt from Africa. But it's clear to let you know that, Egypt is in Africa, okay? Goes on to say, if their theories are borne out by the translation of the tablets engraved with hieroglyphics, the mystery of the prehistoric people of North America, their ancient arts, who they were and whence they came will be solved. Egypt and the Nile and Arizona and the Colorado will be linked by a historical chain running back to ages which stagger the wildest fancy of the fictionists. Okay, this is about 100 years ago, huh? Have you heard about this before? The Grand Canyon? Come on. Okay, let me see. Next. Hieroglyphics. Now check this out. This is so deep. I love this. Me and my family, we've been to the Grand Canyon a couple of times, okay? Here it says, on all of the urns, on walls over doorways and tablets of stones that were found by the image, are the mysterious hieroglyphs, the keys to which the Smithsonian Institute hopes yet to discover. These writings resemble those found on the rocks above the valley. They're saying they got hieroglyphics on rocks above the valley in the Grand Canyon. Now, who wrote hieroglyphics? Okay? The ancient people of Egypt. It goes on to say, these writings resemble those on the rocks about the valley. The engraving of the tablets probably had something to do with the religion of the people. Similar hieroglyphs have been found in the peninsula of the Yucatan, but these are not the same as these found in the Orient. Some believe that the cave dwellers, anyway, you got what I'm saying here. You got, now look at the bottom down here, it says, the tomb or crypt in which the mummies were found. Next. They got mummies, not one mummy, got mummies in the crypts and tombs of the Grand Canyon. Now look here, let me show you, this is a map of the Grand Canyon, okay? Here you have Cheops Pyramid, the Tower of Ra, Osiris Temple, Temple of Set. You got Isis, you got Buddha Temple here, you got the Brahma Temple, Diva Temple, okay? Why would they name these places after these people? They knew who was here. It just so happened this is the same location where they found the caves. Okay, next. This is another picture of the Grand Canyon I have here. You can see here is Isis Temple here. Here's Osiris Temple. Next. Now, here's a pyramid near Atlanta, Georgia. All right. Anybody been to Atlanta recently? You visited the pyramid there? Next. It talks about an accumulative evidence. It says, let me get down here to some, excuse me now. Here we go. The accumulation of evidence makes a convincing case of the emergence of permanent social systems thousands of years earlier than we thought, says Atlanta-based National Park Service archaeologist Michael Russo, who recently fixed the date of a mound complex near Marco Island, Florida at 4,800 years. It changes our whole view of prehistory in North America. Okay, next. This is a picture of the side of that pyramid. Next. Right here on this pyramid, you have this elaborate road, well engineered, symbol of serious civil engineering, okay? At a pyramid near Atlanta, Georgia. Okay, next. Geometric ramps lead to the top of this ancient astrological observatory. Next. Once again, you have evidence of people from that Etowah Mound right here traced to Poverty Point. Next. Here you have another good article. The problem with Poverty Point was not the mound's ridge, it was the site's age, 3,000 to 4,000 years old. Okay? The first carbon date suggests the Poverty Point was constructed 1,000 years earlier. Dates had to be wrong. However, in the 1950s, archaeologists consistently came up with similar ages for the site, so the accuracy of the dates had to be accepted. So they set the dates 3,000 to 4,000 years ago. There were people right here in Louisiana. Who were they? The other people that messed with the omics? We're going to find out here now. It says, some suggest Mesoamerican origin of the site. It could not have been indigenous, original, aboriginal. Had to be people from Mexico, right? Built this stuff in Louisiana? Come on. Eventually, its southeast origins were accepted, but it always remains an exception, a failed social experiment. Often in science, one exception is not enough to change widely accepted theories, okay? Then in 1960s, two of the Poverty Point, keep going. Keep going, next. Two of the Poverty Point archaeologists, I'm going to bring it home to Baton Rouge right now. Southern University, listen close, Southern University. It says, two Poverty Point archaeologists, Dr. James Ford, Dr. Bill Haig, conducted emergency excavations of Mount Sanyo mounds near Baton Rouge. The mounds were leveled shortly after they completed their work. They uncovered permanent evidence of structure under one of the mounds. Charcoal from that mound dated more than 2,000 years earlier than Poverty Point. If Poverty Point is the oldest, and right here in Baton Rouge you got something 2,000 years older than Poverty Point, who was here? And it goes on to say, and this is so deep, the two archaeologists decided not to publish the dates from the site. After all the disbelief over the age of Poverty Point, they knew no one would accept the very early dates from Mount Sanyo mounds. Between 78 and 82, dates from 3 additional mound sites in South Louisiana predated Poverty Point by over 1,500 years. Banana Bayou, this near Opelousas, Hornsburg near Lafayette, and the LSU campus mounds. The results, here it is now. Why don't you know about this? The results were overlooked by professional community outside Louisiana because mounds of that age simply should not exist. It's published in a magazine called Preservation in Print, April 1996. Now you have evidence of ancient people, mound builders, right here in Louisiana. And what happened? The mounds of that age simply should not exist. Is that ridiculous? Next. Now let's see who was in the mounds. Minnesota, 10 skeletons of both sexes, gigantic size, taken from a mound. St. Paul Pioneer Press, 1883. Here you have West Kentucky, or West Virginia. A skeleton 7 feet 6 inches long, that's Yao Ming, okay? 19 inches across the chest, was removed from a massive stone structure, a sarcophagus, as in Egypt, that was likened to a temple chamber within a mound. This is from the Smithsonian Bureau of Ethnology, okay? A report from 1884. Understand, in 1879, the United States Congress allotted money to go find out who was on all these pyramids. There were pyramids up and down the Mississippi River. There are thousands of pyramids all over the United States right now. Thousands. Anywhere you got Mississippi River, Ohio River, Arkansas River, Illinois, Minnesota, you have pyramids all over the place. Next. Uh-oh, here we go. Here we go now. Calm down. A 9 foot 8 inch skeleton was excavated from a nearby mound, Brewerville, Indiana. 9 foot 8 inch skeleton. Here we go, Ohio. A mound near Toledo, Ohio held 20 skeletons, seated and facing the east. Now, who sits up skeletons and set them? You got a skeleton and buried, sitting up? Check it out now, with jaws and teeth twice as large as those of present-day people. And beside each was a large bowl with curiously wrought hieroglyphic figures, okay? Now, who writes in hieroglyphics? And that's Chicago report. Oh, come on now. Don't quit on me now. Oh, there we go, baby. Okay, Chicago report, 1898, republished. Okay, next. Here you have a map I got from an old history book. So it's published. It shows Etowah Mounds here. Moundville is a mound in Alabama, right by the University of Alabama. Right along something called the Black Warrior River, okay? You have Emerald Mound, Natchez, Mississippi. Fatherland Man, that's Mississippi. Spiral Mound is where my grandmother came from, okay? You have all of the United States pyramids and mounds all over the place, okay? Even down here, you get the same pyramid culture in Mexico, up here. Next. It's a book called Arkansas Mounds, next. Written by a man named Mr. Edward Palmer, but it was actually, the artwork inside was done by a black man from Pine Bluff, Arkansas. However, Mr. Palmer, to draw this, is an African-American in Arkansas who drew up thousands of pictures of mounds. Next. Here are some of the pictures of the mounds. This could be deceptive because this is an aerial view of a mound site. The mounds are built in shapes of birds, animals, different things. This says 80 feet to the inch. Massive, huge complex. This says 30 feet to the inch, 100 feet to the inch. These are huge complexes. Here's a human being. 75 feet to the inch. Mound sites. Next. Here's a mound site in Ohio. What's that remind you of? That reminds me of the Starship Enterprise. Okay? This is a wall built around a mound site. Today, if you go here, it's right near Columbus, Ohio. This is a giant, exclusive community, gated community with the golf course in the middle of this mound site. Okay, next. Now, many people say they never heard of Washitaw, but the United States government is well aware of the Washitaw, okay? The Washitaw Battlefield National Landmark, this is in Oklahoma. Next. Here it says, this is somebody you know here, says November 27th, 1868, Colonel George A. Custer. You know Colonel Custer? Okay. Let me get over here so I can read it to you. Commanded the 7th Cavalry, attacked the Cheyenne village of Chief Black Kettle. 155 Cheyenne casualties and 34 U.S. troops killed and wounded. And then it says, the battle started the Sheridan Washitaw campaign. The United States government, after the Civil War, started a campaign to get rid of the Washitaw. But we're still here. Next. The Emperor of the Washitaw wrote a book
Empress Verdancy Tiara Washitaw Turner goes to Nell Bay, wrote a book called Return to the Ancient Ones. It is what inspired me to write my book called We Are the Washitaw. I spent about 4 or 5 years living with the Empress. I traveled with her all around this country, visiting mound sites, visiting courthouses, libraries. We went to Europe, to Switzerland. We went to the South Pacific, to Hawaii, to go visit the former Queen of Hawaii. Understand, at one point, Hawaii was occupied by Washitaw. Hawaii used to be an independent country. Hawaii was an independent country that was captured by the United States, and it was ruled by a queen, not a king. The last ruler of Hawaii was a woman named Leleokalani, a Washitaw, and she died in the Washington Palace in Hawaii in exclusion, okay? The Empress of the Washitaw wrote this book, Return to the Ancient Ones, and it's a monumental work. I write about her work in this book, and this book here, she outlines her 30-year research to document all the information I talked about right just now. Ago, it was held the Mississippi Valley must have been settled by civilized people who had migrated from some historic country, as it was reported that silver scarabs, Hebrew inscriptions, and tureen vases had been discovered in the mounds, but this was only to a lack of real information and misinterpretation of facts. At the present time, the belief is common and widespread that the mound builders were the ancestors of the Indians who occupied the Great Valley at the time of the discovery. Understand, we've always been here. I'm on here to once again point you out there to let you know we've always been here. Our history is far, far, far greater and far deeper than that of some slaves, okay? The Native American Indians are our brothers and sisters. They evolved from the empire. Indians come from India. Germans come from Germany. We are the Washitaw. We come from right here in the Washitaw, okay? If you have any questions, feel free to ask them at this time.
At this time, I'd like y'all to direct y'all attention to the front. The Zimbabwe dance is about to give y'all another performance, another blessed performance. So let's give them the undivided attention. Give them a round of applause.
Tell them to turn the lights on. Turn the lights on. Turn your lights on. If we're finished with this line.
Also, after the dance is danced, we have question and answer for Dr. Vic.
All right. Watch our wires. Push that one. Just push it out of the way.
Excuse me, Mom. get into the question and answer segment of the presentation. Questions? Are there any questions? Anybody have any questions? Dr.